So it says if x equals 8, what's the value of y in the equation? Y equals parentheses x squared divided by 4 parentheses minus 2. So what number are we putting where we see the x? What does it say x? What does it say x equals? 8. So what you're going to do is substitute in an 8 right there. And figure out what would your value of y equal. Is it 14, 16, 18, or 20? So go ahead, use your calculators. Yeah, exactly. It's order of operations. So we know that 8 squared is 64. And then we take that 64 and divide it by 4. What is 64 divided by 4? 16. And then we do 16 minus 2. And we get 14. So our answer would be A. Yeah, you typed it all in. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so on the ASVAB, you would not get a calculator. So I was just doing it without the calculator, but you could, because, you know, we're not actually taking the ASVAB, you can use your calculator. Okay, so we're going to pick up one more question where we left off on Wednesday. So let's go to our note packet. I believe we're on page 7. And we're going to skip down to the example on the bottom. So we're going to go to the bottom of page 7. So bottom of page 7 in your notes. And we are doing compositions again. So we have f of g of x. So whatever letter comes first, that is the function that you need to write with parentheses. So do you see how f of x says 1/2 x minus 5? I want you to write 1/2 parentheses minus 5. And then in the parentheses, you're going to put g, which is 4x plus 10. Now, 1/2 is what I would like to call a friendly fraction because it's easy to cut a number in half. And we can probably do that without a calculator. So we're taking 1/2 of 4 and 1/2 of 10. What is 1/2 of 4? If you have $4 and you want to split it in half, it would be 2. So 1/2 times 4x is 2x. What's 1/2 of 10? 5. Bring down the minus 5. And when you combine your like terms, that would be the plus 5 and the minus 5. They cancel each other out. And you're left with 2x as your answer. So now we're going to go the other way. We have our g function. And I'm going to rewrite this function now and put a parentheses where there is an x. So that would be 4 parentheses plus 10. And then inside of the parentheses, you have 1/2 x minus 5. So again, we have 4 times 1/2. 1/2 of 4, we already said is 2x. And then we're taking 4 times minus 5. 4 times negative 5. is negative 20. Bring down the plus 10. And go ahead and use your calculator to combine your like terms. So you're adding negative 20 plus 10. So yep, your final answer for g of f is 2x minus 10. So f of g is 2x. G of f is 2x minus 10. Any questions? All right, so now we're going to start the 4.2 material. You need two different colors. So if you don't have, you need two different colors because we're going to graph two things. That's why I have color pencils. If you don't have two different colors, feel free to grab a color pencil from the box. Just a reminder, homework 1 is due today for full credit. Homework 1 is due today. So after you get your color pencils, go to page 8 and copy and fill in the blanks. So we're talking about inverse relations. Yeah, we're going to do 2 graphs. So inverse relations and functions. So an inverse is functions that are opposite. That's what inverse means. Functions that are opposite each other, where x and y are switched, meaning the domain and range, they're also switched. The notation for inverse is f with a little -1 of x. So go ahead on page 8, fill in the blanks. So there are 3 different ways to find the inverse. So let's talk about the 3 ways. Go ahead and copy this down. So if it's a table, which is what we're going to practice today, all you have to do is switch the x and y. So you're copying down the highlighted parts. If it's a table, you switch your x and y. Because remember, inverse means opposite. If it's an equation, you switch x and y, and then we have to solve it for y. We're going to do that, practice that on Monday. And then that's when we use our inverse notation. If it's a graph, we reflect it across the line y equals x. So we're going to do 3 examples where we graph 3 different shapes. And then we're also going to graph the inverse. So for homework 2, which you picked up today, on the front side, that's what you're going to do. And you need to use 2 different colors on the homework. So feel free to keep the color pencil. You can bring it back later if you need to. Does anybody need more time to copy down this information on page 8? All right, well, let's get started. So it says the vertices of triangle ABC can be represented by the table below. We're going to find the inverse and then graph the original and the inverse. So let's start off by graphing the original. So pick up a color and graph the original. So to graph the original, I'm going to plot these 3 points and then connect them, and it should make a triangle. So let's plot the point 2, 4. So that means I'm going right 2, up 4. And then I'm going to plot the point -3, positive 2. So you're going left 3, up 2. And then you're plotting the point 4, 1. So from the origin, go right 4, up 1. Let me make sure I plotted my points right. So we have 2, 4, -3, positive 2, positive 4, positive 1. And then you're going to connect that. Try to make as straight of a line as you can as you're connecting to create your triangle. All right, so now in order to graph the inverse, we're going to flip the table. So do you see how in the original my y values were 4, 2, 1? In the inverse, that's my x values, 4, 2, 1. So what are the 3 numbers that you think I'm going to put in this column here for y? What are my 3 y values? What do you think they're going to be? 2, -3, and 4. Good job. So 2, -3, and 4. So now we're going to plot these 3 points with a different color. So pick up your second color, plot a point at 4, 2. So I'm going to go right 4, up 2, put a point. And then I'm going right 2, down 3, put a point. And then right 1, up 4, put a point. And then you connect that. And that is your inverse. That's why I said use different colors. So these 2 shapes are reflections of each other. So if you were to draw an imaginary line right here, it should be a reflection. So if the blue was looking in the mirror, it would look like the red. So it's a reflection. That's what an inverse is. Just do the best you can. They're just really light. You just can't see it. Yeah, but the homework is darker, so you should be okay. And on the test, it'll be darker. All right, any questions about that? All right, let's do 2 more. So for the next one, I believe we're doing a trapezoid. So I'm going to make my table for the original. It says the vertices of a trapezoid WXYZ can be represented by the relation, and these are my 4 points. So we have to find the inverse and then graph the original and its inverse. So I'm going to put these 4 points in my table. So -1, 5, +1, 6, positive 3, 4, and negative 1, 2. Go ahead and plot those 4 points. All right, so now we're going to graph our inverse. I'm going to make a second table. And I'm going to flip it. So I'm going to put these 4 numbers under the Y. So under Y, I have negative 1, positive 1, positive 3, negative 1. And then under X, I'm going to put my Y value. So these 4 numbers are going to go under X. 5, 6, 4, 2. So now you're going to graph those 4 points. So plot a point at 5, negative 1, 6, positive 1, positive 4, positive 3, and positive 2, negative 1, and connect it. And it should look like a reflection of each other. All right, we have one more for today and then we'll be finished. Let's go ahead and graph our last shape, but I'll give you all a minute to finish this one because we have time. And that's why I said 2 different colors. And on the test, because I need to be able to differentiate the original from the inverse. So that's why we use 2 different colors when we graph it. Okay. So we have a quadrilateral. FGHJ can be represented by the relation, and here's our 4 points. So let's make our table for the original. 4, 3, negative 4, negative 4, negative 3, negative 5, positive 5, positive 2. Go ahead and graph that. Okay, so then we're going to create our inverse table. I'm gonna do mine over here. So I'm gonna take these 4 numbers and put them underneath X. So that would be 3, -4, -5, +2. And then I'm taking these 4 numbers and they go under Y. 4, -4, -3, +5. Go ahead and graph those 4 points. All right, so I recommend that you use this time because you have quite a bit of time. Take out homework 2 and get the front done while you have those color pencils to work with it on. So questions 1, actually just 1 and 2. So go ahead and do questions 1 and 2. And then on Monday, we'll pick up and do questions 3 and 4. So everyone should be working on homework 2 and completing numbers 1 and 2. Homework 2 is due on Wednesday, November 13th.